Welcome to this episode of Life Science Success. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Don and I'm a digital marketer focused on life sciences. And before we get into the interview today with Dr. Vlad Vitoc, let me just play a quick message from our sponsor.
Episode of Life Science Success is brought to you by D3 Digital Media Marketing. Dive into the digital world with confidence and creativity on your side. D3 Digital Media Marketing is your all-in-one solution for making a lasting impact online. From the vibrant, engaging world of social media marketing, podcasts, and webinars, to the strategic depths of website development, SEO, pay-per-click, email, and content marketing, we tailor our approach to fit your unique brand story. Let's elevate your presence, connect with your audience, and drive success together. Your digital journey starts here. Visit d3digitalmedia.com to learn more.
I'm thrilled to welcome today on Life Science Success podcast, Dr. Vlad Vitoc. He's the chairman of the board, CEO, and president of MAIA Biotechnology. And he has 20 years of experience in the medical affairs and commercial strategic planning areas. And he's managed and supported more than 20 early launch and mature stage compounds across various cancer types. So with that, welcome to the show today, and it's great to have you on Life Science Success.
Thank you, Don. It's great to be here.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And would you mind just telling a little bit about yourself, as well as what brought you to the point of starting your own company?
Oh, sure. So I'm a physician by my first training and a businessman by my second training, and have spent my entire career in oncology, in pharma and biotech. And along the way, about 50-50 medical and commercial roles on this time, but in oncology. So along the way, I had the opportunity and the privilege to work on and launch some of the most extraordinary anti-cancer products in their day through paradigm shifts. For instance, at Bayer Oncology, I launched Nexavar for the sorafenib for renal cell carcinoma and hepatocellular carcinoma. Nexavar was the first tyrosine kinase inhibitor for the treatment of cancer, and it reached the peak of $1 billion a year. Then later on at Astellas, I launched Tarceva for EGFR mutated non-small cell lung cancer. We are also going non-small cell lung cancer with our current drug, THIO. And Tarceva was also very successful. It reached a peak of $3 billion a year. Xtandi for prostate cancer, just in prostate cancer now is over $5 billion a year. But I have never ever come across a compound with such an extraordinary potential and clinical benefit, both survival benefit and safety, as our current product THIO is. This is one of a kind, and I am feeling privileged and proud that we can work on this and bring it to patients.
Yeah, would definitely be a very exciting thing to have happen for sure. Having that ability to bring not only a drug to market, but also just to see the impact that it would have in patients' lives as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and so how has your experience in medical affairs and commercial strategic analysis sort of shaped your approach to leadership in biotechnology?
So, in many ways, but it's to give some examples. In medical affairs, we engage with key opinion leaders, physicians from all continents that are specialists in their respective tumor types, to involve them in our clinical trials, in our presentations to clinical conferences, advisory boards, etc. So in that direction, I got to know a lot of them, and the universe of oncology is large, but not unlimited. So you have, for instance, in the United States, about 16,000 oncologists, and worldwide, maybe 100,000 or so. So I had the privilege to work with a lot of them in many indications. And these relations often translate to other new relations going forward. There's also the understanding of the life cycle management. So what is next? Not just that indication that we're chasing for approval, but a full life cycle development plan. What other indications can we also cover? And this approach is very much a medical affairs approach. So today, for instance, we use this directly. So just 2 weeks ago, I was in Barcelona at ESMO, the European Society of Medical Oncology annual meeting, where I met with 15 key opinion leaders from different countries, from countries in Europe, US, Japan, Korea, Turkey, other countries. So they all are so excited to see our extraordinary data in non-small cell lung cancer to start with, and excited to hear that we have orphan drug designations from the FDA for other indications like liver cancer, small cell lung cancer, and brain cancers. They all want to be part of this. They want to be part of our company-sponsored trials, and they want to open their own investigator-sponsored trials following their ideas. So I think that that plays out very well. As for the commercial part, so I ran business analysis and planning and strategic analysis for several different companies, Bayer Oncology, Novartis Oncology, Cephalon Oncology. It's so in business analysis and planning, you learn to understand what the market potential is, how the market segments, what is the prescriber behavior, how to tackle that, how to value a compound, how to forecast its sales, and then derive the net present value today, so you can construct a better alliance with another pharmaceutical company when you need it. So also a very important piece of the equation as well.
Yeah, also true, and I feel like the balance of experience that many of us have, is really, the one advantage that that many people have, and then those pieces seem to contribute to your journey, overall as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and so you mentioned the fact that you were a physician. So when you were practicing medicine, how did you find that transition from being a physician to being the CEO of a biotechnology company?
That's a journey, and not a simple transition. It's so as a physician, I never practiced as a physician. I went from medical school directly to pharma. I started out with pharmacy, I ended up John, and in a commercial role at the time. It was a field role, and then I built on my career with that. I went to get my MBA, and then I built with moving to positions of greater responsibility every time. And in the end, so for 20 years later, I thought I finally have accumulated enough experience and expertise here that it's time to start the company. So I started MAIA Biotech. I founded it 6 years ago in Chicago. It's a Delaware company. Founded it with a licensing of a compound we now call THIO from University of Texas. THIO is the world's first telomere-targeting agent with exceptional immunogenic properties, teaching the immune system to respond to cancer very effectively. And we licensed THIO back 6 years ago and started its development. And 2 years ago, we went public on New York Stock Exchange, and we're now traded under the ticker symbol of MAIA, MAIA.
Perfect. Yeah. And I would imagine that had to be exciting. I mentioned to you before we got started that there's a picture on LinkedIn with you standing in the New York Stock Exchange during that day, I believe.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit more about MAIA Biotechnology and the focus? How do you aim to impact the field of oncology?
So at MAIA, we are developing new science for the treatment of cancer. We have now a full program of telomere-targeting agents with a dual mechanism of action, telomere targeting and immunogenic properties. And the lead compound, as I mentioned, is called THIO, THIO. THIO is in the clinic, well advanced. It's getting ready for pivotal trials. We completed the phase 2 trial called THIO 101 in non-small cell lung cancer, in which we tested THIO in sequential combination with Libtayo, cemiplimab, made by Regeneron, in patients who are refractory to checkpoint inhibitors and chemotherapy. In this trial, we have treated so far 79 patients. The drug is proven to be exceptionally efficacious and also very safe in the combination. So we just recently announced another update of the survival follow-up. We haven't reached yet median survival. It's coming. We have reached every other metric so far. So the better it works, the longer it takes. People survive longer. And then from here we have multiple potential pathways to FDA commercial approval, which we believe is about 2 years ahead. Now, non-small cell lung cancer is the largest tumor type globally by mortality. 2 million people die every year of non-small cell lung cancer globally, but also by annual sales, 34 billion in annual sales last year. Now, our drug goes well beyond non-small cell lung cancer. It works in any cell that is telomerase positive. And 85% of cancer cells are telomerase positive in aggregate. Some cancer types can be 100%, like small cell lung cancer. Others are 85%, 90%, like liver or colorectal or non-small cell lung cancer. And our data in the preclinical setting was so convincing that when FDA awarded THIO 3 orphan drug designations out of the first 3 applications in hepatocellular carcinoma, which is the dominant histology in liver cancers, about 85%, in small cell lung cancer, the deadliest form of lung cancer, and in brain cancers, including malignant gliomas. So now we're putting forward plans to expand to these additional cancer indications, and we expect trials to start there as well in the course of next year.
Very good. And so, I mean, with the orphan drug designations that you've received, the FDA must see some real promise behind that, right? I mean, this is not something that's easily given. How is it that your lead compound differs from other cancer treatments that are currently available?
Well, first, it has a very unique mechanism of action. So imagine the chromosome, usually represented as an X, that contains our DNA, our genetic information. And at the end of the chromosome arms are the telomeres, our target. The telomeres are also DNA sequences that are, in essence, protective end caps that protect the integrity of the chromosome in the course of the cell division cycle. The cell divisions are always imperfect, so for the chromosome material to translate in full to the next daughter cell, the telomeres will take the hits. They are built and maintained by the enzyme telomerase. Telomerase is present in all normal cells in the first year of life. But at about age 1, telomerase goes away. The telomeres have reached their maximum length, and from that point on, with each cell division cycle, they lose a little, until in the old age they become critically short, can no longer protect the chromosome, mutations begin to appear, and with this, diseases of the old age, including cancer. Now, in cancer cells, something extraordinary happens. The enzyme telomerase is turned back on. And so the cancer cells regain their ability to elongate their telomeres, and so reach a state of replicative immortality, meaning they continue to divide and the cancer grows in the otherwise aging body. And this is where THIO comes in. THIO, which is short for 6-thio-2'-deoxyguanosine, is a guanine analog. It's picked up, it's one of the building blocks of the telomeres. It's picked up by telomerase instead of guanine, placed in the telomeric structure. This creates a faulty, unstable structure. The telomere collapses, the DNA unwinds, and the cancer cell dies. This process is fast and efficient. THIO directly kills these cancer cells in 24 to 72 hours and directly kills 70 to 90% of the cancer cells. Then follows its immune effect, its immunogenic effect. Of the telomeric fragments, micronuclei are formed that present these fragments to the immune cells, becoming neoantigens in the immune pathways and triggering an immune response so efficient that if you follow THIO with an immune therapy, such as a checkpoint inhibitor, you see complete response, no recurrence, and anti-tumor immune memory. Cure. And we have seen this in preclinical setting in multiple tumor types, in lung cancer, in liver, colorectal, small cell lung cancer, brain, with THIO in combination with several different checkpoint inhibitors, Libtayo of Regeneron, Keytruda of Merck, Tecentriq of Genentech, Opdivo of Bristol Myers, not Opdivo, yes, Opdivo so also. And the first go-to-market is with a clinical supply agreement with Regeneron for non-small cell lung cancer. That's our market entry strategy.
Very, very good. And you have to face, quite some significant challenges as you've gone through things. What are they, and how have you overcome some of the greater challenges that you found?
Yes, so I would say the most important dimension is financing. Financing, we finance it. We finance the companies successfully given market conditions along the way. We started out in markets that were good and then turned super hot, in which financing for a small company was not easy because all the attention was on the bigger companies. And then the markets turned down and financing simply became unavailable. So then it was even more difficult from a different angle. But we are in a very good spot right now, and have always managed to move the business forward. I think we moved very fast to get to this point in the clinic in such a short time interval. And we managed to find a very good partner in Regeneron with a clinical supply agreement. We hope to add more partners to the lineup in the near future and go commercial in a couple of years.
Perfect. And I mean, it's always interesting to me to see the different ways that people approach the financing challenge, because I do feel like, more companies are facing this today than ever before. And to have, a company with promising information that can continue to come out, obviously it makes things a lot more beneficial whenever investors look at it and say, hey, look, this company is actually making significant progress as well. And so, it's so important. And I think, all the things that we've heard today about MAIA, that's got to be one of the things that I'm hearing as well, is that, just the significance and the amount of news that you would have as well throughout time. So congratulations on that. How does your company approach the balance between scientific innovation and commercial viability?
So you have to in the part of it, since scientific innovation is I think critical, because that's where it all starts. So we got to have a compound, ideally that hits a target that no one else does, like THIO has a telomere targeting effect. and also partners well with other compounds, because in oncology, oftentimes treatments are made of two or three doublets, triplets of therapies, different therapies that target cancer from different angles. So if the drug is not safe, has some significant toxicities, it's not combinable easily. So that's key. And we have that as well here. Very combinable, toxicities are very, very minimal. Then you need to go to tumor types that have significant potential and competition is limited. Our market entry strategy is going to be non-small cell lung cancer in third line of therapy. Third line of therapy, non-small cell lung cancer in patients who have become resistant to checkpoint inhibitors and to chemotherapy in previous lines of therapy. This is now the largest unmet medical need segment in non-small cell lung cancer. And no other company is targeting, nothing is approved here, nothing is targeting this, it's free of competition. It's an excellent place to address. These patients are in a desperate clinical scenario. Unfortunately, their survival is less than 6 months. And we are showing that we improve that by a lot. And in fact, we have our leading patient in this is 18 months and counting on therapy, and doing very well. So they're doing very well. So this is the key to your question is to find that unmet medical need that is free of competition, and it is where you can meet the endpoints quickly. So the trial can be relatively small that needs to be done. The probability of success is then high. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. High probability of success, very high, in fact, at this point. Low cost of development, no competition, and also it's a large segment population. So this will be in itself a massive commercial opportunity. That's I think the recipe.
Yeah, absolutely. And, for sure, I think, being able to touch many lives is also a great benefit whenever you have a drug that's having such impact as well. Can you share more insights about MAIA's pipeline and any upcoming milestones that you might have?
Oh, yes. Pipeline, we're developing the next generation of telomere-targeting agents. Some that will follow THIO. A few years behind will be. We started this program about 2 years ago and developed 84 new compounds. They fall in different classes. Some of them are structural evolution of THIO. Others are new structures entirely. They all work, same mechanism of action, telomere targeting with immunogenic properties. We tested them all preclinically in cell cultures, in animal models. And 7 of them have proven to be at least an order of magnitude, 10 times more efficacious than the original in certain tumor types. So we are moving these forward. 2 of them have started. And they are halfway through the preclinical testing that needs to be done before going to human trials. They do very well. We expect to put them in human trials next year. A third one is ready to start as well, and we have 4 more in reserve. So we're building a franchise of telomere targeting agents.
It's always good to have a strong menu as well. How do you see the field of targeted cancer therapies evolving in the next, say, 5 to 10 years?
I think targeted therapies will continue to be a very important part of oncology. I think the growth will be extraordinary here. The key is to find targets that can be easily addressed, and we've seen significant successes. But a lot of the early developments of targeted therapies was focused on targets that are not very that are very relevant clinically because they can be targeted, but they are also very small. So in lung cancer, in non-small cell lung cancer, for instance, about 30-40% of the patients have a targetable mutation. There are around 10 different targetable mutations that are commercially viable these days, and their incidence ranges from 1% to 15%. So very, very small, each of them. Still, because these drugs work well, patients stay on therapy a long time. Survival is prolonged, in some cases, quite spectacularly. So this become very significant commercial opportunities. So I see that this is going to continue. And as these drugs are progressing in the treatment continuum and go from an initial indication in second or third line, like we have now here, we plan to go then to first line of therapy and then to the perioperative setting, which is pre-metastatic setting. That's the real curative setting. And that's where most of the difference will be made and most of the patients will be cured.
Perfect. So, how does your international background influence your leadership style and your decision-making process?
Oh, so yes, I've been in global roles on several occasions with the companies I worked with. So worked with partners and with physicians everywhere in the world. So the concept here is we are an American company, but we are also a global company. We have two subsidiaries already from where we operationalize our trials in other countries. One is in Australia, the other one is in Romania for Eastern Europe. So even though we are just starting it, we're thinking it with a global footprint. It's especially in clinical development, this is exceptionally important because clinical development is best done globally. You cannot focus on just one country. You have to focus on multiple countries where the patients are, and operationalizing the clinical trial is also cost effective. So that's exactly what we do. We have started our first trial, THIO 101, in Australia, and then we moved it into Eastern Europe. We went to Hungary, Poland, Bulgaria. Now we're moving it into Romania, Czech Republic, Turkey, and then we go to Asia. Asia's almost ready to start. We're going to go to Korea, Taiwan, Japan, and of course, United States.
Very good. What's been the most rewarding aspect of your work in developing new cancer treatments?
There's nothing more rewarding than arriving at a drug that has clinical data that shows this works so well. That's a paradigm shift in certain tumor types and saving patients ultimately. So to give you a notion of that, we are now going, our first indication is in non-small cell lung cancer. Non-small cell lung cancer is a silent killer. It develops without signs and symptoms. And about 60% of the patients, when they are first diagnosed, the disease is already advanced, has spread to other organs, and is no longer operable. The curative intent treatment is surgery, but they're not operable. So then the objective, the clinical objective, becomes prolongation of life. And then before they start the treatment, they're tested for their mutations first to see if they can be targeted there. 30 to 40% of the patients have a targetable mutation, they will get that. But 60, 70% of the patients do not, the majority. And then they receive immune therapy or a combination of immune therapy plus chemotherapy, which is the case of the majority of them. This is the first line of treatment. In the first line of treatment, the results are complete responses 2 to 5%, partial responses 30, 40%, stable disease as the best response 30, 40%. About 20% of the patients are hyperprogressors. They don't respond even though they should, and they quickly deteriorate and just die. No one is cured in this setting. Cure is defined as complete response sustained by 5 years or longer. They all progress at some point. The majority progress around 6, 7, 8 months. And when they progress, then they go to second line of therapy. Second line is usually chemotherapy plus minus a VEGFR inhibitor. In the US, that would be docetaxel or docetaxel plus Iramza. Results are not even worse. So there's no complete response in second line, 0. Partial responses are 15, 20%. Stable disease, 30%, 40%. And more than half don't even have stable disease. Just everybody progresses after 3, 4, 5 months to third line of therapy. And then in third line, the situation is even worse. They just receive some generic chemotherapy just to do something. It's gemcitabine is used, vinorelbine. These are all historical agents. They don't work. Complete response is 0. Partial response is 6%. Stable disease 30%. Patients progress quickly after 2 months, and then they die in less than 6 months on the average. Then that's the end of the line. So it's what we see with our drug here is as we go for a market entry strategy in third line of therapy, we see an outstanding differential. Our disease control rate, which is the sum of response rate plus stable disease, in third line, in this very difficult to treat patient population who are checkpoint inhibitor resistant and chemotherapy resistant, disease control rates 88%. With chemotherapy, you see 30. Overall response rates 38%. With chemo, you see 6 partial responses. Progression-free survival, we have already 5.5 months. With chemo, you're looking at 2 months. Overall survival, we now have, we haven't met it yet, but we're already over 11 months in follow-up. So this is projected to be north of 12 months versus under 6 with chemo. That's a massive difference. So for a drug to be approved in the it needs to show statistically significant superiority in overall survival. That means hazard ratios to be 0.74 or better, meaning lower. Hazard ratio, so 0.74. So for in this case, this can be accomplished with a trial of 300 patients if you move the needle from 5.8 months in the control arm, chemotherapy, to 7.8 months. And we are already past 11. So from this point, I think we have de-risked the clinical development, almost 100% in third line for non-small cell lung cancer. This has now become a matter of execution only. And we are moving forward with this towards approval, which is projected in about a couple of years.
What does it take to move up in terms of treatment? So whenever you're saying, that there's so much of a difference, in the impact that your drugs could have, I guess the key question still in my mind, and I explain to people quite frequently, right? I'm not the scientist and I'm not the physician here, so, but what immediately comes to mind for me is, unfortunately, patients are waiting through 2 other full rounds of treatment, and only the survivors then are seeing this third round. What does it take to move, into the first or second round?
It takes a trial in that line of therapy, which we plan to do. It's in first line of therapy, and it would be something like THIO plus Libtayo versus Keytruda, for instance. It's a trial that will be in first line of therapy, and it will be a much larger trial because patients in first line survive longer. So we're talking now almost 3 years survival as opposed to 6 months in the control arm. So it takes a trial that is much larger. The follow-up is much longer. So that means an exponentially more expensive. We plan to do this trial once we are commercial and we have the revenue that is needed then we want to go there because that's exactly where the chance of cure is best. And also then after that we go to neoadjuvant setting. That's a very exciting setting. So you remember about 40%, 60% of patients are diagnosed with advanced non-small cell lung cancer, but 40% are diagnosed with more limited non-small cell lung cancer, non-metastatic it's called. That's localized and operable. But surgery by itself can only go so far. So to give you a notion of that, after surgery, usually most patients progress at some point. And when they progress with metastatic disease. They generally progress after 3, 4, 5 years, depends on the setting. And then when they progress, they go back to this paradigm of first line, second line, third line. So at that point, they have another maybe 3 years to live. But if the objective in this setting is to get as many patients as possible from surgery to 5 years without tumor recurrence, which is cure. Right now, that percentage is low. So it's with surgery alone or surgery with adjuvant chemotherapy. Now we see that some of the immunotherapies have been successfully added to this. They do better. But I think that's exactly the curative setting where THIO will absolutely shine and cure people. That's where we want to go. And we go there as soon as possible.
Excellent. What inspires you?
Nothing inspires me more than the notion that we do something good like this for humankind who suffer. This is not just any type of activity or business. It is a business of saving lives. This is what inspires me the most.
Yeah, absolutely. What concerns you?
I think at this point the concerns are operational. It's they're every day. There are a lot of things to do, a lot of moving pieces to the equation. So you need to just address them one by one. I don't have any particular dominant concern other than operating the business on a regular basis. I think we are at the same time fortunate, but also we are on the ball with finding new treatments that work for these patients. So I think we found a treatment that stands at the next frontier with a novel mechanism of action that has never been tackled before and that works so incredibly well, proven in preclinical setting in so many tumor types, and now in the clinic it plays in the same way. This is something special, and we aim to deliver and take all of these extraordinary treatments, THIO and its follow-on compounds, to the patients who need it. And if we can save even one life, it's worth it. But we will be saving many lives with this in the future.
Very good. Last question. What excites you?
What excites me? The work excites me. This is people. This is. I also feel fortunate personally because this is a job I like. It's. I always liked it. I was always excited by it, and in every single angle for every single role that I've had, I was excited to take things forward and make things more accessible, more optimal, develop new data that proves the drugs work, and to get to success, to clinical, and then to also commercial success with some of the compounds that I worked on, blockbusters. Now, this is exciting. This is saving people's lives and at the same time commercial success. What can be better?
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Vlad Vitoc, thank you so much for being on the Life Science Success Podcast and for telling us about MAIA Biotechnology and the journey that you've undergone, but also the impact that the organization not only is having, but also looks to have in the near future. So thank you so much for being on and sharing the story with us.
Thank you for having me, and we look forward to continue this and hopefully see you many times as we progress towards success here.
Thank you so much.